All right, so today we're going to be taking a look at the highly coveted goaltender Yaroslav Askarov, what he looks like going into the 2020 NHL draft, who could be picking him, and looking at his past season in over in Europe. If you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos like this, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe down below. And let's take a look at the highly coveted goaltender Yaroslav Askarov. So it's been a long time since we've seen this amount of hype for a goaltender. Back in the day, most recently, really, it was a guy like Andrei Vasilevsky, Marc-Andre Fleury, Rick DiPietro. Yeah. So anyway, obviously the most recent guy that we saw was Spencer Knight, who was a first-round pick last year, went to the Florida Panthers in the top 15 at that draft. But Yaroslav Askarov looks like the next level good. And we'll be talking about why that could be a potential top 10 overall worthy draft pick. So, looking at Yaroslav Askarov, he's 18 years old, 6'3", 176 pounds. Now, this is interesting. Some of the scouts here had him going number 1 overall by Central Scouting, the EU goalies. Now, obviously, that's European goalies, so they have him as the number 1 goaltending prospect. I believe that's what they mean. I don't believe he will go first overall. It will be Alexis Lafreniere unless crazy things happen, but I don't see, maybe Tim Stutzel at best. But if Detroit has that pick. But besides that, I think it's going to be Lafreniere. So he's the best goaltender in Europe. Number 5 by Hockey Prospect. That's the highest that somebody has him rated, is at number 5. And then everybody else has him at number 11, or even another one has him at number 12. So why is it so diverse in where Yaroslav Askarov could get picked? Now, obviously, there's a ton of factors. One of them being that there's a lot of really solid, specifically forwards, in the top 10 at this year's draft. You have Byfield, Lafreniere, Stutzel, Lucas Raymond, Alex Holtz, Anton Lundell, Marco Rose. You go down the list. All those guys are going to be very solid centers and wingers. Jamie Drysdale in the mix as well. Those are all going to be very solid players. So for a guy like Yaroslav Askarov, he kind of slides down just based off of that. Now we go into the fact that we haven't seen a goaltender picked in the top 10 in a long time. And it's, most recently we've seen Spencer Knight get picked. But a lot of times teams are very wary about drafting goaltenders in that first round. Now, obviously, the importance of the goaltender has gone up a lot as over the past couple of years. We've seen how important goaltending tandems are, how important it is to have goaltending depth that can play at the NHL level, and just how quickly you could lose 4 or 5 goaltenders within a couple of weeks, and you need that goaltending depth. And the value of goaltenders is being placed a lot higher more recently than really in the mid-2010s, early 2010s, where we saw that kind of decline. Because you look at the guy above me where the New York Islanders spent their first overall pick on Rick DiPietro, and he is not with the team any longer. So there's just there's so many factors. You could find decent goaltenders later in the draft. You look at a guy like Henrik Lundqvist, the glaring example, a 7th round draft pick, and he ended up becoming the king of New York. So there's obviously a lot involved. You've seen more recently a guy like Igor Shesterkin with the New York Rangers, a 3rd round pick or a 4th round pick. He's a pretty solid goaltender. So you're seeing goaltenders get picked in the later rounds and still being very good goaltenders nonetheless. Now, what teams would be interested in the services of Yaroslav Askarov? Well, I think there's a lot of factors, as with usual. But some of the teams they have here, the Detroit Red Wings, they have Philip Gustafsson, who they believe in. I think he could be a pretty solid option. Actually, that's the Ottawa Senators, Philip Gustafsson, who could be a solid option. The Detroit Red Wings have a goaltender as well. I don't remember his name at the top of my head, but they do have a goaltender in the lineup as well, but nowhere near the level of a guy like Yaroslav Askarov. Then you have the Chicago Blackhawks, who were talked about. Now, I think the Blackhawks are interesting because they were talking about, they've obviously let go of Robin Lehner. Corey Crawford continues to get older. Are they going to extend Corey Crawford this summer? I don't know. They're going to have some goaltending situation, some issues there. They're going to have to figure that out this offseason. I wonder. Obviously, you can't go after a guy like Braden Holtby. They don't have the salary cap. But you wonder if they could go for a guy like Yarosalv Askarov, who could be a longer-term option. Now, there was talk that Ilya Sorokin, who is the New York Islanders' property at the moment, there was talk that Darren Dreger said he was going to get traded to the Chicago Blackhawks. I think obviously that didn't end up happening, but the fact that it was talked about definitely leaves you wondering, was there at least talks that Lou Lamoriello, was he getting talk from Stan Bowman? Bowman obviously being the general manager he is, did he at least speak to Lou Lamoriello about the possibility? And, some word jumble got out there and a little bit of a game of telephone, and it was that Sorokin got traded. Maybe it was just, very light talk that was occurring between the teams. But it's definitely interesting what's going on there with Chicago and the goaltending situation. You have to wonder if Yaroslav Askarov could be that draft pick. They have pretty solid defense. They could use another defenseman. I don't think they'd say no to a Jamie Drysdale. Would they say no to another top six forward? I don't think they necessarily need a top six forward. And obviously, crazier things have happened, but, you've got guys like DeBrincat, Jonathan Toews down the middle, Nylander, who has looked at like a pretty solid prospect, Dylan Strome, who it seems like they want to trade out. You obviously have a guy like Patrick Kane as well, Jonathan Toews. So you've got a decent group there, Kirby Dach. So there's plenty of centers who, this is a pretty center-heavy draft unless they pick up a Raymond or an Alex Holtz. So now it leaves you with the option of maybe picking up the goaltender. If Jamie Drysdale is off the board and they don't love the centers that are there, or they don't want to pick, or guys like Raymond and Holtz are off already, maybe they decide to go with that goaltender. Would that be the direction that the Chicago Blackhawks go in? And now the other team, you may be wondering, why is he wearing a Buffalo Sabres jersey? He's talking about a goaltender, Yaroslav Askarov. Yeah, why wouldn't the Buffalo Sabres be interested in a guy like Yaroslav Askarov? They have new management there. They've completely bulldozed the amateur scouting, the scouting in general. So the opinion from Buffalo over the next couple of weeks could possibly involve Yaroslav Askarov as the solution. They have a couple of pretty solid forwards. They have a really solid defense as well. So maybe they look to goaltending, and they have that draft pick, which, unless it's first or second or third overall, the Buffalo Sabres could very likely be looking at a situation where they pick up Yaroslav Askarov in that top 10. So leave in the comment section down below, where do you think we could see Askarov get drafted? I mean, the numbers that we're seeing from Yaroslav Askarov, these numbers are better than Andrei Vasilevsky, who, you look at the comparable, he is one of the best goaltenders, if not the best goaltender right now in the NHL, even over Carey Price right now. So he's been very solid with the Tampa Bay Lightning. He's been on a pretty solid team as well, which helps. But like I said, he's putting up, Askarov is putting up better numbers than Vasilevsky when he was the same age. So leave in the comment section down below, when do you think we will see a guy like Yaroslav Askarov get drafted? Will he be a top 5 draft pick, top 15 draft pick, and where do you think is the best fit for him? Leave that in the comment section down below. And if you like what we're doing here at Goal Line Hockey, want to see the latest news around the NHL and more videos like this, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe for more content. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.